Picture this: a masked player standing in the middle of a battlefield that used to be a stronghold, and he's the only one left breathing. Around him, an entire elite squad is on the ground. He didn't break a sweat. Somewhere else, same guy, cracking open a dungeon core like it's a soda can, and legendary gear just falls out. Somewhere else again, a woman who once helped bury his brother is staring at him like she's seen a ghost. Because in a way, she has. And later, way later, he's holding a dagger that whispers back to him, a weapon with a will of its own, bonding to him like it's been waiting its whole existence for exactly this hand. You're going to see all of that, but first, rewind. Because none of it makes sense until you know why a guy with zero tower experience walks in and immediately starts breaking the system over his knee. His name's Yan Wu, ex-military, special forces, the kind of guy who's used to being the most dangerous person in the room. Except right now, he's not dangerous. He's just grieving. His brother's dead, missing for years, and Yan Wu always told himself there was still a chance. Maybe he was traveling. Maybe he'd walk through the door one day with some ridiculous story. Instead, what walks into his life is a notice. Confirmed dead. No details, no body to speak of, just paperwork and silence. And then there's the watch. It's the one thing that comes back from his brother's things, ticking away like it's got somewhere to be. Yan Wu almost tosses it in a drawer and never looks at it again. Almost. Instead, alone in his apartment one night, he actually opens the thing up, and that's when his whole world flips upside down, because his brother's memories are inside it, recorded, preserved, waiting. And what spills out isn't some peaceful goodbye. It's the truth. His brother didn't vanish on some random accident. He went looking for a miracle, an elixir, something that might have saved their dying mother, and he found a door into some place no ordinary person was ever supposed to see. A tower. A place stacked with tests, monsters, treasure, and players clawing their way up floor by floor for power most people can't imagine. And in that tower, his brother built a life, made allies, fell in love, started climbing. Then it all came apart. The people he trusted turned on him one by one. The woman he loved, the one he thought would stand beside him no matter what, put a blade in his chest herself. Not one attacker, not two. 5 separate blades, 5 separate people who were supposed to have his back, all driving in at once while he bled out completely alone. Yan Wu doesn't just find out his brother died. He finds out his brother was murdered by the people closest to him, and left to rot without so much as a proper goodbye. That's the moment revenge stops being an idea and becomes the entire plan. He doesn't get some big dramatic speech, no fists pounding the table. He just goes quiet, cold, focused. The exact mode a soldier switches into right before something bad is about to happen to somebody. He's going into that tower. He's going to retrace every single step his brother took. And he is going to make every name on that list regret ever being born. The watch doesn't just carry memories, though. It carries knowledge. Floor layouts, monster patterns, trap locations, secret shortcuts his brother paid for in blood and time. Yan Wu steps into the tower as a total rookie on paper. In reality, he's carrying years of somebody else's hard-earned intel in his back pocket. Nobody around him knows that. Every other player sees a green nobody who just showed up. What they're actually standing next to is a guy playing the game with the answer key already memorized. That gap, what everyone assumes about him, versus what he's actually capable of, is going to wreck a lot of people's plans before this is over. First test, though, the tutorial. Tower rules are simple on paper. You get sorted into blocks, A through G, each one nastier than the last, and administrators run the show, grading everybody as they go. Clear a block, move up. Fail hard enough, and you're done. Permanently. No pressure. Most rookies go in blind. Take it slow. Feel out the danger before committing. Yan Wu doesn't have time for slow. He walks straight into a stage practically built to kill first-timers. Some brutal, trap-laced gauntlet designed to weed out anyone without real combat instinct. And he clears it like he's done it 100 times. Which, through his brother's memories, he basically has. That's beat 1. Small, but it tells you everything about the pace this story is about to move at. Then, he finds something even better than a shortcut. Something most players never even think to try. See, the tower's got this thing called a reset ticket. Basic idea. Burn one, and you get thrown right back to square one of your progress. Sounds like a punishment, right? Losing everything you built? Yanwu looks at it and sees a loophole instead. Turns out, if you know exactly where the best grinding spots are, exactly which fights give the fattest stat rewards for the least risk, you can reset on purpose, over and over, and farm those same efficient gains again and again, except faster each time, since you already know the map. It's like speedrunning your own character build. Everybody else is leveling up the slow, honest way. Yanwu's out here abusing a broken mechanic like it's a cheat code nobody bothered to patch. By the time he's done cycling through it, his stats are nowhere near where a brand new player should be. He's not fighting fair anymore. He's fighting from years ahead. Somewhere in all this grinding, he crosses paths with a merchant, one of those tower figures who doesn't deal in cash, just raw stats and rare junk, trading favors like a shady pawnshop broker, who definitely knows more than he lets on. Yanwu picks up gear, tips, pieces of the puzzle. Then it's straight into a wave of scarecrow-type monsters that go down without much drama. More proof his numbers are already outpacing his supposed rank. And then he meets Yule. Yule's a mage, sharp, cautious, the kind of person who's learned the hard way not to trust people fast. Good instinct, honestly, because her own team already burned her once, left her behind as bait when things went bad, walked away, didn't look back. When those same people come sniffing around again, clearly planning to finish the job and erase the evidence, Yanwu steps in front of her. Doesn't take long. He handles it. And just like that, the guys who thought they'd gotten away clean with betraying her get introduced to exactly how far his combat ability actually goes. It's not close. It's not even a fight, really. More like a lesson somebody should have taught them earlier. Yule watches this total unknown wreck the people who wronged her without breaking stride, and something in her starts to shift. She's cautious, not stupid. She knows a monster in disguise when she meets one, and right now, that monster happens to be on her side. She teaches him magic. He picks it up fast. Suspiciously fast, honestly, for a guy who supposedly just walked in the front door of the tower a few days ago. She doesn't push too hard on the questions. Not yet. He's not exactly warm about it either. Every ally he gathers, he keeps at arm's length. Not cruelty, just a guy who's already lost enough people and isn't in a rush to hand his heart to somebody new. Still, something starts building between them anyway, whether he wants it to or not. From here, the story cranks the difficulty. Yanwu finds one of the tower's hidden dungeons, the kind of place most players don't even know exists, let alone dare to enter. Inside, monsters way above his supposed level, and buried somewhere in the danger, gear that could make or break everything that comes next. He goes in anyway, hunts things twice his size, comes out the other side not just alive, but stronger. Some of these monsters, once broken down right, actually strengthen the body permanently when used correctly. He's basically turning the dungeon's own horror show into personal upgrades. And then there's the find that changes everything. A dagger, soaked in something vampiric, sitting there like it's been waiting specifically for him. Most people would grab a weapon like that and never realize what they're actually holding. Yanwu doesn't stop at the surface. He digs deeper, pushes the blade past its obvious rank, and unlocks a hidden tier most players will never even know is possible. A true form nobody expects out of something that looked, at a glance, like just another sharp piece of metal. Suddenly he's not just a fast-leveling rookie with borrowed knowledge. He's walking around with a weapon strong enough to make actual veterans take notice. And they do notice. Word starts spreading about this masked, tight-lipped nobody who's clearing content way above his supposed pay grade. Two of the tower's genuinely top-ranked players, Khan and Doyle, start paying attention. Khan's blunt, strong, straightforward. The kind of fighter who respects results over reputation. Doyle's the lighter half of the duo. Cheerful, using insect-based tricks that are a lot nastier than they sound. Always ready with a joke even mid-fight. Individually, dangerous. Together, one of the best teams in the tutorial. They don't fully trust Yanwu at first. How could they? When he's clearly hiding more than he's sharing. But results talk. They start running missions together, and every single time, Yanwu's instincts, knowledge, and raw power make it obvious he's operating on a completely different level than his rank suggests. That partnership gets tested hard when they go after the lizard rulers, a king and queen duo that most groups wouldn't even attempt without heavy losses. Brute forcing it would get somebody killed, so they don't. Yanwu lays out the plan, uses the terrain, uses timing, uses everyone's strengths in exactly the right order, and the fight goes down clean. No wasted lives, just precision. That's the moment Khan stops seeing him as a wild card and start seeing him as someone worth following. But victory doesn't last long, before the story yanks the tone somewhere much darker. Deep in that same operation, they find something that turns their stomachs: human farms. Captive players, kept and bred like livestock, used for experiments nobody in their right mind should be running. It's not a rumor anymore. It's real, and it's horrifying, and it's connected to something much bigger than one cruel administrator acting alone. That bigger thing has a name: Blue Sword. A massive organization with its claws in everything, running these farms, experimenting on people, and this is the part that really lands, tied directly to the people who murdered Yunwoo's brother. The rage that's been sitting quiet under the surface this whole time, it boils straight back to the top. Yunwoo and his allies don't just report the farms and walk away. They tear the whole operation apart. One by one, the squads sent to stop them get wiped out. And every failed attempt just makes Blue Sword throw more bodies at the problem. And every single time, those bodies don't come back. Somewhere in the wreckage of all this, Yunwoo comes face to face with one of the actual people connected to his brother's death. Someone who thought they'd buried that history for good, who never expected the ghost of a dead man's little brother to show up wearing a mask and swinging a vampiric blade with a grudge attached. That person realizes, way too late, exactly who they're looking at. It's not a clean, satisfying resolution. Not yet. There's more thread to pull. But it's the first real crack in the wall Yunwoo's been chipping at since he opened that pocket watch. Proof the plan is working. Proof the people who thought they got away with it never actually did. Along the way, he frees prisoners who'd basically given up hope of ever seeing daylight again, and he stumbles onto trapped souls tied to the whole conspiracy. Souls who don't want comfort, don't want closure. They want revenge, and they choose him to deliver it. By the time the dust settles on Arendon's operation, the guy running a huge chunk of this violence, Yunwoo walks away with more than just a body count. He's got a strange, unfinished stone, nobody's fully explained yet, a pile of unanswered questions, and a growing reputation that's starting to precede him whether he wants it to or not. And then comes the twist that reframes the entire tutorial. Turns out you can retry it. The whole ranking race isn't a one-shot deal like everyone assumed. There's room to push further, to climb higher, to chase first place even after everything he's already survived. Here's the thing though, Yunwoo doesn't need first place the way he needed it at the start. His original fire was pure revenge, pure grief. Somewhere in all this fighting, all these people who started actually trusting him, that fire's shifted into something a little more complicated. He's still going to hunt down every last person responsible. That hasn't changed. But there's more riding on this now than just settling a score. Khan, of all people, is the one who pushes him forward on it, telling him straight up that he's got what it takes to go past even the strongest ranked players in the tutorial, if he wants it badly enough. And Yunwoo, standing on the edge of the final stretch with barely any time left on the clock, decides he wants it. The masked nobody who walked in with nothing but a dead man's memories and a grudge the size of the tower itself is about to make one last push for the top, and everybody who underestimated him is about to find out exactly how big of a mistake that was. The final tutorial stretch hits different than everything before it. This isn't about clearing one nasty room or ambushing some corrupt administrator's goon squad anymore. This is the whole ranking board, every serious contender in the tutorial, all clawing for the same handful of top spots before the clock runs out for good. Yunwoo's sitting on numbers nobody expected from someone at his supposed stage. Reset farm stats, a dagger punching way above its weight class. Magic Yule drilled into him faster than she probably should have. And behind all of it, a mind that already knows how a chunk of this race plays out, because his brother lived through a version of it first. Still doesn't make it easy. Knowing the shape of a fight and surviving it are two very different problems. Khan and Doyle are locked in too, chasing their own placements, and here's where the three of them stop being a convenient team-up and start feeling like something closer to real. Doyle cracks jokes mid-sprint between checkpoints, insect swarm trailing behind him like a living cloud, needling Khan about his terrible taste in weapon maintenance. Khan barely reacts, just grunts and keeps moving, which somehow makes it funnier. Yunwoo doesn't join in much. Still guarded, still carrying a weight the other two can sense but don't understand yet. But he's stopped correcting people when they call him part of the group. That's new. That's something. One checkpoint throws them into a gauntlet built specifically to punish overconfidence. Waves that scale up depending on how fast you're clearing them, punishing greed instead of rewarding it. Teams ahead of them get greedy, push too hard, and get chewed up for it. Yanwu reads the pattern almost instantly, calls the pace, tells Khan when to hold, and Doyle when to flood the field with his swarm. They come out the other side barely winded, while 3 other squads limp past them, gear busted, morale worse. Somewhere in the aftermath, Doyle finally asks him straight up how he keeps calling these fights before they happen. Yanwu doesn't answer with the truth, gives him something vague instead, something about instinct and training. Doyle doesn't buy it completely, but he lets it go, because trust doesn't always need a full explanation. Sometimes it just needs enough. Khan's different. Watches him a beat longer than Doyle does, like he's filing the moment away for later. He's not suspicious exactly, just paying attention. In between the ranking pushes, Yanwu takes what he's learned from the hidden dungeon hunts and starts brewing something useful out of the monster parts he's stockpiled. A rough strengthening concoction, crude compared to whatever the top clans probably cook up on their private floors, but effective. It shaves recovery time down to almost nothing and gives his stats one more shove forward right when he needs it most. It's not glamorous, no dramatic reveal, no glowing effect, just quiet, practical progress, the kind that stacks up fast when nobody's watching. Other players start approaching him too, now that his name's floating around the leaderboard. Some want an alliance, some want to piggyback on whatever's making him this strong. He turns almost all of them down, flat, no explanation given. He didn't come into this tower to build a fan club. He came to find names and cross them off a list only he can see. Khan and Doyle are the exception, and even that took results to earn. Word about Blue Sword hasn't died down either. Whatever's left of that organization after the farms got exposed is scrambling, trying to figure out who exactly tore through their operation and how much that person actually knows. Yanwu hears fragments of it secondhand. Rumors, nervous chatter from other players who clearly don't know they're talking, within earshot of the exact problem they're worried about. Somewhere buried in those fragments is a name tied to his brother. Not confirmed yet, not fully surfaced. Just a thread hanging loose, the kind that tells you a bigger reckoning is still waiting further up the tower. He thinks about her sometimes. The woman his brother loved. The one who put a blade in him alongside 4 others. He doesn't know her face yet, not really. Just fragments from the recorded memories. Impressions more than details. But he knows she's out there somewhere, still walking around like none of it happened. That's a door he hasn't opened. Not yet. The watch made it painfully clear that whoever she is, she's still tangled up in everything connected to his brother's death, which means eventually, that road leads straight to her. He's not ready for that conversation. Not yet. Right now there's a ranking board to conquer, and a first-place slot with his name on it, whether the tower likes it or not. The stakes shift again, when a rival team, arrogant, well-funded, clearly used to buying their way up the leaderboard, starts throwing weight around, trying to intimidate lower-ranked players out of contested checkpoints. Bullying weaker climbers out of good farming spots, taking credit for kills they didn't land clean. Doyle's the one who spots it first, comes back fuming about some rookie squad getting shoved off a checkpoint they'd rightfully cleared. Khan wants to let it go, focus on their own climb. Yanwu doesn't. Maybe it's the soldier in him. Maybe it's just recognizing a smaller version of the same rot he's already spent this whole tutorial burning down. Either way, he redirects the team toward that checkpoint instead of their planned route, and what happens next isn't subtle. The rival squad's leader, smug, loud, the type who's never actually had to fight for anything, finds out real fast that reputation doesn't mean much against someone who's already taken down actual monsters wearing human faces. It's fast. It's humiliating for them. And it sends a message down the leaderboard that spreads a lot quicker than any of the actual fighting did. Don't test the masked guy. Khan doesn't say much about it afterward, just gives Yanwu a look that says more than words would've. Doyle, predictably, will not shut up about it for the next 2 checkpoints straight. The ranking gap starts closing. Whoever's sitting at the very top of this tutorial's leaderboard is about to have company, and that company is coming in fast, carrying a grudge older than the tower itself, and a weapon that's already tasted more blood than most players will see in their whole run. But there's a shadow underneath all this momentum, one that doesn't go away no matter how many fights he wins. Somewhere close to the finish line waits a truth Yanwu hasn't fully faced yet, the name of the woman who ended his brother's life with her own hands. And the closer he gets to the top of this tutorial, the closer that name gets to finding him first. The leaderboard doesn't sit still for long. Every checkpoint clears. Now shake up the standings, and Yanwu's name keeps sliding higher, past names that have been parked near the top since this whole tutorial started. That doesn't sit well with everybody. A trio near the summit of the rankings takes notice. They've been comfortable up there a while, coasting on reputation as much as actual skill, and a masked nobody climbing this fast reads to them like a problem that needs handling before it gets out of hand. They don't come at him directly. Not at first. Instead, they start working the system, funneling resources toward blocking off high-value checkpoints, spreading rumors that paint him as some kind of cheater exploiting a glitch, trying to poison the well before he can close the gap completely. Doyle hears the rumors first and nearly loses it laughing, accusing the guy who's been out fighting actual monsters barehanded of somehow cheating his way up. Khan's less amused. He knows exactly how this works. Discredit someone publicly, and even a clean win starts looking dirty in other players' eyes. Yanwu doesn't bother defending himself with words. He answers the only way that's ever mattered in this tower. Results. The trio's resource hoarding strategy backfires spectacularly when Yanwu, using the same reset and farm efficiency that got him this far, finds a completely different route through a checkpoint they thought they'd locked down. He doesn't fight through their blockade. He goes around it entirely, clears a harder alternate path they assumed was unbeatable, and comes out the other side with a bigger score than any of them managed through their so-called controlled route. It's not just a win, it's an embarrassment, delivered without him even needing to look at them twice. That's when they stop playing games and come at him directly. 3 against 3, them at full strength, versus Yanwu, Khan, and Doyle. It should be closer than it ends up being. The trio fights like people who've never actually been tested, all flash and reputation, expecting the masked upstart to fold the second real pressure hits. He doesn't fold. If anything, this is where everything clicks into place. The dagger's true form carving through their strongest fighters' defenses like they're made of paper. Yule's teachings turning into precise, surgical spellwork instead of the rough basics he started with. Khan and Doyle covering every angle. He doesn't have time to watch himself. It's over faster than the trio probably expected, and definitely faster than their pride can process. One of them, the loudest of the 3, the one who started most of the rumors, actually stops mid-fight when Yanwu's mask tilts toward him. There's a flicker of real fear there, the kind that shows up when somebody realizes, right in the middle of losing, that they picked a fight with something far more dangerous than they bothered to check. Khan doesn't gloat afterward, just tells Yanwu, plain and simple, that anybody still doubting him after this fight is choosing to be stupid. Doyle, of course, is significantly less restrained about celebrating. With the trio knocked down a peg, and their rumor campaign dead in the water, the ranking board tightens even further. First place is close now. Close enough that Yanwu can feel it. Close enough that every remaining checkpoint feels like it's holding its breath. But climbing this fast comes with a cost, even for someone carrying inherited memories and borrowed knowledge. His body's been through more in these few tutorial weeks than most players go through in months. Reset after reset, fight after fight, barely any real recovery between pushes. Even with the crude strengthening medicine keeping him upright, there's a wear starting to show underneath the momentum. Yule notices it before anyone else does. She's watched him closely enough by now to catch the small signs. A half-second delay before he answers, the way he favors one side slightly after a hard fight, small cracks in the wall he keeps built around himself. She doesn't push, just makes sure she's close by when it matters, quietly backing him up in ways he doesn't always acknowledge out loud. It's not romance yet, not exactly, but it's something building underneath all the fighting, something neither of them has said out loud, and something that feels like it's only a matter of time. The tutorial's final stretch throws one more gut check their way, a checkpoint that isn't measured by kill count or speed, but by coordination, forcing every team through a shared trial where mistakes cost everyone involved, not just the individual who made them. It's designed to punish exactly the kind of lone wolf mentality Yanwu walked in with. For once, his usual approach, calculate, execute, move on, isn't enough by itself. He has to actually lean on Khan and Doyle here, trust their instincts in moments where his borrowed knowledge doesn't cover the gap. It's uncomfortable for him in a way combat never is. Fighting monsters, he's fine. Depending on people, less so. But he does it anyway, and it works. The 3 of them move through that trial like they've been fighting side by side for years instead of weeks. And when it's done, something between them has shifted permanently. Whatever guardedness Yanwu's held onto since day one loosens. Just a little. Not gone, just loosened. That's when the tutorial administrators drop the detail that changes everything about how this final race actually works. Turns out, the ranking period isn't the one-shot, single-attempt system everybody assumed going in. Players can retry stretches of the tutorial, refine their scores, push further even after they thought their run was locked in. The whole framework everyone's been racing under gets reframed in an instant. This isn't a sprint to a single finish line, it's an ongoing climb with room to keep pushing as long as time allows. For most players, that news lands like a second wind. For Yeonwoo, it lands like something heavier. Because if the tutorial isn't a one-shot deal, that means there's no ceiling forcing him to settle. He can keep pushing, keep climbing, keep closing the distance between where he stands now and true first place. Not the desperate revenge-fueled climb he started with, but something that's slowly become its own kind of goal. He sits with that for a moment, longer than usual. This whole thing started as a mission to find names on a list and make them pay. Somewhere between the resets and the dungeons and Khan's blunt loyalty and Doyle's ridiculous jokes and Yule's careful trust, it became something more complicated than pure revenge. He's not sure when that happened. He's not sure he's ready to examine it too closely either. Khan's the one who breaks the silence, blunt as always, tells him straight up, he's not just capable of placing well in this tutorial, he's capable of going past the strongest ranked players entirely, if he actually commits to it instead of holding something back. It's not encouragement dressed up soft, it's Khan seeing something in him and refusing to let him downplay it. And for the first time since he opened that pocket watch and heard his brother's voice explain everything he lost, Yeonwoo lets himself want something beyond revenge, wants to actually win, wants to prove, to himself, if nobody else, that he can build something out of all this wreckage instead of just burning through it. Time's running short though. Whatever's left of this final stretch is closing fast, and first place isn't going to hand itself over just because he's decided he wants it now. Somewhere out there, still unresolved, still waiting, is the woman who put a blade in his brother's chest alongside 4 others. Still unresolved is whatever blue sword has left standing after the beating their operation already took. Still unresolved is that strange, unfinished stone he pulled out of the wreckage, humming with something nobody's explained to him yet. None of that goes away just because the tutorial's about to end. If anything, it's all just getting started. But right now, in this exact moment, with barely any time left on the clock, and a spot at the very top of the leaderboard finally within reach, Yeonwoo plants his feet, tightens his grip on a dagger that's already tasted more blood than most players will see in a lifetime, and gets ready for the final push. Whoever's sitting at first place right now doesn't know it yet, but they're about to get a visit from a masked player carrying a dead man's memories, a monster's collection of stolen power, and a grudge that isn't finished being paid off. The clock's ticking, the gap's closing, and Yeonwoo isn't stopping now. The final stretch isn't measured in days anymore. It's measured in hours, and every single one of those hours has a body count attached to it. Yeonwoo throws everything he's got into this last push. No more holding back, no more calculating the safest route through a checkpoint when a faster, bloodier one exists. He spent this entire tutorial being careful, methodical, playing the long game his brother's memories mapped out for him. Right now, careful doesn't win. Speed does. Khan and Doyle fall into step beside him without needing to be asked. Whatever hesitation existed between the 3 of them weeks ago is long gone. They move like a single unit now. Doyle's swarm softening up anything in their path, Khan smashing through whatever's left standing, and Yeonwoo threading the needle between them with a dagger that stopped looking like a weapon and started looking like an extension of his own arm. Checkpoints start falling in quick succession. Each one chips away at the gap between his ranking and the names sitting above him on the board. Every clear stacks the pressure higher, because everyone left in this race can feel exactly what's happening. The masked player who showed up out of nowhere weeks ago isn't chasing the leaderboard anymore. He's about to catch it. Somewhere in the middle of that sprint, a familiar shape shows up on the field. One of the players connected to Blue Sword's shattered operation, someone who thought the chaos of the final race might be cover enough to slip through unnoticed and disappear before Yeonwoo's reach caught up with them. It isn't. That confrontation is short, brutal, and one-sided. Whoever they were hoping to become by running isn't who walks away from that fight. Another loose end, tied off. Another name that thought it was safe, learning otherwise. But even as the checkpoints fall and the ranking gap shrinks to almost nothing, there's a weight sitting under all of it that Yeonwoo can't outrun no matter how fast he climbs. The identity of his brother's lover, the final name on that list that matters more than any of the others, because she's the one who actually held the blade. He hasn't found her, not yet, but something about how close he's getting to the top of this tutorial tells him that road is about to get a lot shorter. The last checkpoint arrives with barely any time left on the clock. Whatever waits behind it decides everything. First place, the culmination of every reset, every dungeon crawl, every fight that's brought him here from a grieving ex-soldier with nothing but a broken watch to whatever he's become standing at this threshold. Yeonwoo steps up to it. Behind him, Khan gives a short nod. Doyle, for once, doesn't say anything at all. Ahead of him, the last stretch of the tutorial, the final ranking, still hanging in the balance, and a truth about his brother's death that's about to get a lot closer to daylight. The clock keeps ticking, and Yeonwoo walks forward into whatever's waiting at the top,